There's something about being home alone that sends shivers down your spine. Even the smallest sound can make your heart race. But what if those noises weren't just your imagination? What if they were real and lurking in the shadows? Today, I'm going to share 3 real stories of home alone horror that will make you question just how safe you really are when no one else is around. Turn off the lights, grab a blanket, and let's get into it. Our first story takes place in a small suburban neighborhood. Typical. Quiet. Safe. Or so Sarah thought. It was a Friday night. Her parents had gone out of town for the weekend, leaving her home alone for the first time. At 17, Sarah had never been afraid of staying by herself. In fact, she was kind of excited freedom, right? But as the night grew darker, things began to change. It was around midnight when she first heard it, a knock. Tap, tap, tap coming from the front door. At first, Sarah thought it was a prank. Some neighborhood kids messing around. But when she peered through the peephole, no one was there. Another knock. This time louder. Bang, bang, bang. Her heart raced. Who would knock this late? She called out, "Who's there?" Silence. Trying to keep her cool, Sarah grabbed her phone and texted her parents. Maybe they had forgotten something? Maybe they sent someone to check on her? But just as she was about to dial 911, the knock stopped. Relieved, she sat back down on the couch. But moments later, bang, bang, bang. The knocks came from the back door. This time, they were furious. Someone or something was definitely trying to get in. Sarah didn't wait any longer. She ran upstairs, locked herself in her room, and called the police. But by the time they arrived, whoever or whatever had vanished. They never found out who it was. And to this day, Sarah refuses to stay home alone. Our second story comes from a man named James, who swore he'd never forget what happened one cold winter night. James had just moved into his first apartment. A tiny 1-bedroom in the city. It wasn't much, but it was his, and he loved it. One evening, after a long day at work, James decided to unwind by watching some TV before heading to bed. Around 1 a.m., as he was about to doze off, he noticed something strange on the TV screen. His hallway, which should have been pitch black, had a faint shadow. At first, he thought it was just his eyes playing tricks on him. He blinked, rubbed his face, and looked again. But the shadow was still there, and it was moving. Slowly. Toward his living room. James froze. His apartment was locked. No one else was supposed to be inside. He glanced down the hallway, but it was too dark to see anything. But on the TV, the shadow grew larger and darker, as if someone was standing just out of view. He grabbed the remote, turned the TV off, and sat in silence, listening. The room was still. He waited and waited until finally, he convinced himself it was nothing. Just a glitch on the screen, right? That's when he heard the softest creak of a floorboard, right outside his bedroom door. James didn't sleep a wink that night. And the next morning, he moved out. To this day, he claims that shadow wasn't just a trick of the light. Something was in that hallway. Watching. Waiting. The final story comes from a woman named Emily, who faced her worst nightmare in the safety of her own home. Emily had just moved into a quaint old house, a fixer-upper. The kind with charm and creaky floors. One rainy afternoon, as she was organizing the kitchen, she heard a sound that sent chills up her spine. A scream. It was faint but clear enough that she knew it wasn't just the wind. It came from the basement. Her first instinct was to dismiss it. The house was old, maybe a pipe, maybe the heating system acting up. But then it came again, louder this time. Emily couldn't shake the feeling that someone was down there. Grabbing a flashlight, she cautiously approached the basement door. She opened it slowly, the old wood creaking as she did. The stairs stretched down into the darkness. She pointed the flashlight down, her hand shaking as she called out, "Hello? Is anyone there?" Nothing. But just as she was about to close the door, She heard it again, that blood-curdling scream echoing up from the basement. She bolted the door shut, locked it, and called the police. They searched the entire house, including the basement. There was no sign of anyone. But when they checked the walls, they found something chilling. A hidden room behind the basement wall, sealed off years ago. No one knows how long it had been there, or what it was used for. But Emily never stayed in that house again.